All praise to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, Yahayash, Yada Hayah. This is Brother Holly here with the second Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of Ahaya channel, on this set apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to the great I am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, Yada Hayah, and to his son, Yahayash, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life, that life is in him, Yada Hayah. Now, in the second broadcast, we're going to have a word of personal testimony from me. We're going to have some more public service announcements, and we're going to wrap it up with just a word of encouragement from me from the scriptures, and it's more on a personal note. I know with the speed and the amount of information that is coming out in these troubled times, perhaps what the subject matter of this particular broadcast will be about will be of some use to you, some service to you, to keep you from making bad decisions when decisions are having to be made in a rapid succession. I said a lot to say nothing at all. First, with the public service announcements, I'd like to thank all of our new subscribers to the AHAYAH'S House and House of Ahaya. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the new subscribers, and welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. May your time here amongst us be prosperous. May your time amongst us be joyful. May your time amongst us be educational and enlightening. May the Spirit of Ahaya, the Ruach Kwadasha, may the Spirit of Ahaya awaken your heart and mind to be obedient to his laws, statutes, commandments, judgments, ordinances, precepts. May the Spirit of Ahaya awaken your heart, awaken your spirit to follow after his wayward and will and obey his voice. And may the faith of Yahayash Messiah be in your heart and in your mind, now and forever. Hadal Hayah. Now, I want to share with you all a new resource that I've come across, the Shafar Abaraya Lashan. And this is a little book, very thin, made by brother Kashim. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, brother. Brother Kashim, this is pretty much his life work to bring back in with Ahai's help and by his spirit, to bring back the knowledge of the pure language, the pure Hebraic language, or as he puts it, the Abaraya. I hope I'm saying that right. Language, the language of creation, the language, the Adamic language, the language of Noah, the language of Abraham, the language of the Messiah. It's the language of heaven as well. And it's a return, it's a fulfillment of Zechariah chapter 3, verse 9, that in these last days and this last time, he will return us to pure language, that we may with one consent worship him in spirit and in truth. All praises. So give this little book read. It's I think it's about $60, $75. I'm not really sure, but look for it. The Safar Abaraya Lashan, the language of creation, by Brother Kashim. Praises to Ahai for his work. And the brother is working on a book of scriptures at this time, so may Ahai bless him in that. And I look forward to not only continuing to review his current work that he has published, but future works, especially if he brings out the Bible, a book of scriptures. Man, I'm looking forward to that. So, what I want to talk to you about in the second broadcast, children, is a little bit of a personal testimony. Just recently, I have been faced with a great temptation to not follow after the Most High's way, but to follow after the world's way of gaining wealth, gaining resources, gaining financial provision. And what I'm talking about, children, is just recently I was coaxed into getting involved in a real estate venture that in the final analysis I shouldn't have been involved with to begin with, but I let my guard down. I didn't follow the knowledge and wisdom that I had gleaned from the scriptures on such things, and I followed after the world's way. I followed man's wisdom, and my ego and my lust for more got in the way, blinded me to the facts of the matter. And the old adage, child, is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't. Was the case, and I thank Ahaya that I was able to get out before everything was said and done, and I was stuck in this shaky real estate transaction. And I would love to report that I got out clean with no loss of money, but let me help you, children. If you disobey the scriptures, expect things to not work out. I'll just be blunt. And I'm being transparent. Brother Holly was following after saw the dollar signs shining, the shiny dollar signs in my eyes, and I began to follow it. But Ohio arrested me by his spirit, gave me that knock on the skull. Son, get out now before it's too late. So I pulled the ripcord. I said, that's it, can't do it. And unfortunately, I was able to walk away clean, but I'm not saying I walked away with all my money intact. But thankfully, I wasn't too far gone on the deal to where tens of thousands of dollars were lost. But why was this real estate deal so bad, Brother Holly? Well, it involved the use of borrowed money to acquire the real estate. Oh, what's wrong with that, you might ask? Well, if you are a child of the devil, nothing. But a child of Ahaya, everything. And we're going to read it from the Torah, and we're going to read it from the book of Sirach, that to borrow money and to more explicitly to go out and borrow money to acquire a house or real estate or to build real estate or a home is in fact something that is in totality against the teachings of Ahaya and his spirit, and you are subject to disaster and ruin and the place of being in disobedience to his will. All right. We'll be reading from the Bible King James Apocryphy version, the True Revealed and Restored, Abba Father, Ahaya, Yeshaya, Kodash, Akkad, Ancient Paleo Hebrew Bible. Turn me to Deuteronomy chapter 15. I'm going to start reading at verse 5. Deuteronomy 15:5. It says, only if thou carefully hearken to the voice of the eternal Ahaya, thy most high power, to observe to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For the eternal Ahaya, our Ahaya, blesses thee, as he promised thee, and thou shalt not lend unto many nations, but thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. Will you highlight? So when you're in a position where Ahaya has blessed you as he promised to, you will be in position to lend unto many nations. And you won't need to borrow from them. You will be in a position to reign over them, and they won't have control over you. The noose, and I'll call it what it is, the noose of indebtedness is just that. It is a noose. And I've said to many people over my lifespan, my adult lifespan, I should say, it was a very common saying with me. It may not be common with you, but feel free to use it. If you can't control my income, you can't control my outcome. Wow. That's one of my favorite sayings of mine. If you can't control my income, you can't control my outcome. Basically, if you can't control the money I got or receive, you can't control what happens to me. And for a large part, that's very, very true. How do people get control of your income, you might ask? They get control of your income by you voluntarily giving it to them, by establishing debts. Instead of using your income and saving your income to acquire things, you take a little piece of your income and receive the thing by buying it on time, establishing a loan for it or establishing a line of credit for it. Then that person you've established that line of credit or loan with gets a little piece of your income every month. And they charge you interest or usury for you acquiring the thing before you had the money for it. This is why so many people, not only in America but around the world, live beyond their means. Why so many people live paycheck to paycheck. Why so many people are on the brink of financial ruin even to this day. The use of credit, not the misuse of credit. Hear me correctly. The use of credit. The habit of borrowing. We're given a commandment right here in Torah not to borrow. You shall lend and not borrow. Wow, I call this the 11th commandment. I've known of this commandment for some time. I have used this commandment to keep me away from establishing debts in the past with great success. But like I said earlier, children, Brother Holly got sucked in. This real estate deal was too good to be true. New house, on a lake, big, spacious, cheap. Everybody around me saying, do it, do it, do it. Except one person or one being around me was saying, don't you dare. That's our Father, the great I am. That's the one who promised to bless me if I obey him. Let's read that promise to bless me if I obey him one more time. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 5. Let's go. Only if thou carefully hearken to the voice of the eternal Ahayah, thy AHLAHAYAH, to observe to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For the eternal Ahayah, your AHLAHAYAH, blesses thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. With highlight. You got to be careful to follow his commandments. One of his commandments is you don't borrow. You lend. You don't borrow. And the Messiah, when he was on earth, he said, you lend unto people and expect nothing in return. Lend unto them and expect nothing in return. You really got it good. You really got it going on financially when you can lend and expect nothing back. You just give people grants. All praises. And I'm in a position like that, children, where all my possessions, to include my home in the north part of the state, I'm in the south central part now, but up in the north part of the state, where I'm from, I have a home I own outright. A home which I keep on the market for rent, and I've extrapolated quite a nice living from that income. I've got to enjoy my time here in Central Florida. Based, not primarily, but based in part to that income from my property. Now, I was going to acquire a different property, but I was going to have to borrow the money to do so. Instead of saving up the money, instead of being patient and waiting the 5 to 6 years it takes to save up that kind of money, at my current rate of savings, like I told you earlier, if you don't control my income, you don't control my outcome. In 5 to 6 years, at the current pace, I could save up the money I was about to borrow. Well, Brother Holly, if that's so, why don't you just borrow the money and in 5 years pay it back? Well, this is why, child. This is why. Because we are told to carefully follow the commandment right here. We're told to carefully follow the commandment right here in Deuteronomy chapter 15. And we're going to read from the book of Sirach in the Hebraic Apocrypha, the prohibition against taking money, other people's money, to buy or build a house. Hold your place in Deuteronomy. We're coming back. Turn over to the book of Sirach in your Apocrypha. Thank you for your patience. Sirach chapter 21. Let's read verse 8. The book of Sirach in your Apocrypha, chapter 21, verse 8. He that builds his house with other men's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial. Will you highlight? Wow. Getting a mortgage is like signing your death certificate. Like planning your funeral. Wow. You're ministering death to yourself when you get a mortgage. Look at the word mortgage. It's 2 words. It's a combined word. It means death debt. Mortgage. Death debt. It's the debt that's supposed to kill you. And that's what the book of Sirach, that the Ruach Kodashwa is trying to communicate to us through the prophet. That if you borrow money to build your house, other men's money to build your house, it's like you're gathering stones for your own death. Let's read it again. Sirach chapter 21, verse 8. He that builds his house with other men's money is like one that gathers himself stones for the tomb of his burial. If you building your house with other people's money, you've entered into a covenant with death. You've got a mortgage or death debt. And it's like you're gathering stones for your own burial. You're hastening your own demise. And I wish I could say, children, with some accuracy and clarity, I didn't know that before. I did. I knew that and was still doing it. That's how dangerous it is, child, to let lust get the best of you. My lust wasn't for some slinky woman. My lust was for more and more real estate, more and more wealth. I let my lust for wealth get the best of me until Ahai so graciously and so powerfully just said to me, cut it out now. Cut it off. I don't care how much money you lost. Just lose the money instead of your life. When Ahai talks to you like that, I suggest, this is just Brother Holly, one brother opinion. If Ahai talks to you like that, listen, pay attention. Lose the money, not your life. Okay? Why? Why is it lose your money, not your life? We'll read it again. He that builds his house with other men's money is like one that gathers himself stones for the tomb of his burial. If you're using other people's money to build your house, It's like you're gathering up stones for your own funeral. You can save up for a home. I just mentioned to you how long it would take me at my current state of savings to save up for that house I was just about to use other people's money for. 5 to 6 years. All things being equal, 5 to 6 years. And I could purchase that house cash. And I suggest to you to do the same. Follow the scriptures. Follow the word. Hopefully this is a very sobering word to you today. I hope it is. It's sobering to me. It's not exciting. I know a lot's going on in the world, and I'm talking about real estate. I'm talking about not being indebted. I'm talking about being careful to be obedient. See, just because it's, nobody in their right mind would say it's sinful to own a home. But people should say in their right mind, if their mind is a spiritual mind, that it's sinful to borrow money to do so. Oh, it's not sinful to own your own home. It's simple to borrow money to do it. Let's read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 5. It says, only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of AHAYAH your AHLAHAYAH to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. For AHAYAH your AHLAHAYAH blesses thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend to many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. Underline it. And thou shalt reign over many nations, and they shall not reign over thee. Like I told you earlier, how do people, nations, tongues, kindreds get authority over you? And they get you subject to payments. How do all of you grow old in your enemy's land? Subject to payments. Because you disobeyed Deuteronomy 15. That's how you got subject to payments. You borrowed. You wanted a lifestyle you couldn't afford. Did we just read that AHAYAH promised to bless you? To bless you as he promised? You're going to have to put your faith in it. I got to put my faith in it. It's through faith and patience you inherit the promise. That's how it works. After you have patiently endured, you shall inherit the promise. You got to be patient, child. Stop wanting everything today. Save up, pay cash, and enjoy the blessing. And you too will be in a place where if they don't control your income, they cannot control your outcome. All praise to the Most High, AHAYAH, and to his son, Yahayasha, Yada Hayah.